Hey guys, this is Pedro back with another interview. This time covering VCT Americas Ascension 2025. I'm accompanied by seven of TSM finishing their upper bracket semifinals matchup against Winthrop, beating them to this advance to the upper finals of said competition. Seven, you're one step closer to achieving the long-awaited goal of making Tier 1. How did that sound to you?
I mean, it feels good. I've been playing this game for a very long time, and I've had a lot of failure on my career. So making tier one, doing this stuff with my boys, this would mean a lot to me.
I mean, obviously, this is a much more different stage compared to like you're usually facing off against Winthrop in the Challenger season, now in Ascension. So obviously, the opposing side was coming into this in pretty decent form. And so that said, when it comes to approaching for this kind of team, was there any difference compared to how it was from like earlier on in the season, or was it different this time because it is Ascension?
Um, I mean, it's hard. It's honestly, it's very hard to say. I can't really, it's not like I can compare my like exactly how it was online to LAN. I will say though, because they are a familiar opponent, they are someone that we have versed before, that we are used to playing. It doesn't necessarily feel too different. It doesn't. We're not really shocked by anything that we see. We're not really, surprised by anything. These teams, they play pretty similarly, and that's their style. That's how they play. And so I guess to give you like a full answer, it felt pretty similar to online, a little different because it's online, but still almost the same.
Even so, they started off on Ascent in pretty decent form, winning the first 5 rounds on attacking side, but then you guys were able to come back and just basically shut the door on that and continue the momentum into Abyss. But first, what I want to address is your performance on Ascent 2810. I mean, pretty perfect, I would say. So, what kind of made the stars online for you to play so well in that map specifically?
I mean, I have always been like a product of my own environment. Like, so if just to say, like, if all of my teammates are communicating, I will be communicating. If all of my teammates are doing their job, I will be doing my job. You know what I mean? And I really, really shine. Like, I'm not really a player who might like break out, and have like an incredible like game like on its own. Like, usually the games that I do really, really well in, it's because my team also does very, very well. You know what I mean? It's not. I wouldn't say it's like a pop out individual performance. I just think we all played our own game, and the kills just happened to be on my screen that game. So, nothing too crazy, nothing too special. I played the same way I do every other game. The stars just did kind of align.
This, I mean, it was kind of the inverse, almost of the reverse of how this team performed, given that you guys started off on the on with the advantage, and then slowly but surely Winthrop was trying to make that attempt for a comeback and force overtime, and who knows what would have happened there in that extra period. But you obviously said no to that. Talk to me about the difficulty of just having to face Winthrop once the SWAT side switched to you guys being on defense side, and what kind of made it difficult on that, and what enabled you guys to finally close it out?
Well, I think like when we got obviously really had a really good attack half, but we did kind of fall short towards the end. I was feeling that I think we weren't really listening to each other that well. I felt like the trust of the team was slightly going down. And I'm usually kind of the vibes guy. I'm usually kind of the guy that like teammates are down, I bring them up. So every round I'm trying to bring them up, I bring them up. But it kind of sometimes it stays still, it kind of flatlines. It doesn't really the mood doesn't really get worse, but it doesn't really get better. And I think once we started into defense, we won the pistol, we got our mood back, and then they just played a very, I'd say, different game than what we're used to. If you look back at our series versus Envy on Abyss, half the time the round's over in 20 seconds. You know what I mean? They're down B for instantly, and we either win the round or we lose the round. Against Winthrop, they played a very solid game. They played a very like slow, methodical, prod-heavy game, and I think that is where you really need communication the most. You can't overstep, you can't overpeak on accident, you can't throw a bad piece of utility. You really need to be on top of your game, and it's hard. It's hard to do that kind of stuff. But towards the end, I think we had some really good times from a coach. I think the spirits were being lifted up, and we had a really, really good last couple of rounds, and we managed to close it out.
with that said, you guys move over to the upper finals of this Ascension tournament, essentially being 2 wins away from finally making that achievement possible. And for you, I kind of not want to ask you about sort of the significance of the impending accomplishment if it happens, which of course hopefully it does. But what I want to ask you is sort of the progression of this team in this competition, and also including that, like the challengers at the end of the challenger season, winning the stage three, with the inclusion of these new teammates that has already been mentioned time and again in the broadcast of Albin, Timotino, and Evans. And yeah, really say off the top of my head, how have you viewed the togetherness, and how have you viewed your contribution to the team's subsequent togetherness, unity, and what did you feel you have given to the team in order to be in this current state?
Well, I think like what I've given to the team is I have to first like say like I've given like a lot to myself. Like I've dedicated so many hours of my life, like for stuff like this, for coming out to Brazil, flying, meeting my teammates, playing. Like I've dedicated so many hours, so many years, so many like kind of relationships that have fallen off, friendships. Like a lot of sacrifices have been made for me to be here, and like I am here just trying to enjoy it all. And like when I really want to be here, like when I really want something, like I will put my 100% and like everything I can into this right now. So like when you ask me like what is TSM getting out of me, I'm gonna tell you that they're getting a player who is like just wants to win more than anything else in the world, who like takes care of their teammates more than their mothers. Like I love my teammates very dearly. They mean a lot to me, and I want to see them shine. I want to shine. I want to do this together with everyone. And like, so whatever it is that they need, whatever, like, I'll be the mood guy. Like if my whole team's feeling down, I'll start yelling. You know what I mean? If someone needs to have like a flash, I'll flash. Anything, literally in game, out of game, I will do whatever it is to help my team win. And I think that's kind of like the beauty of me. And I think that's also kind of the beauty of my team, because a lot of my teammates are also like that. A lot of my teammates are also, very selfless. They will do whatever it takes. And I think once you combine that into a good system surrounded by a good coach who also wants to win, you're setting yourself up for success. So I think that's kind of where my head's at with that.
This year in particular has been the most like productive year out of yourself, despite the fact that you've already been competing for like almost like half a decade, which is wild to consider, but like nevertheless, do you feel like this has been like the most productive that you've seen out of yourself compared to all the other years that you've been a part of, and all of the different versions of the teams that you've kind of seen?
I mean, I would definitely say so. I mean, especially um, I think that this has definitely been the most productive year. I don't want to say that I have slacked in previous years, but I definitely have a lot of regrets from past years of mine where maybe, I'm just not on the game as often, or I'm not as close as I am with my teammates, stuff like that. I do have a lot of regrets. So I guess this year has kind of been the year with the most ups and downs, but it's also been the year where feel like I've put in the most into, making this work. And like I said before, like I'm a product of my own environment. Like seeing my teammates all so dedicated to wanting to do this also makes me really dedicated to wanting to win this. So I just think it's like a combination of those two things.
The motivation and the energy to continue this momentum into the latter stages of this event, and hopefully you guys are able to do that. Like I said, Seven, pleasure to talk to you. I wish I could ask you more questions, but I'm getting those pings to wrap up from the voices in my head, so I'm gonna have to obey that. Congrats once again on the victory, and hopefully I could talk to you again sometime in the future, and best of luck in the future as well.
Thank you so much.